Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Just checking the live stream. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna echo myself off of this computer, but that's great. Okay, I'm gonna call us to order at 2:02 p.m. All right, roll call. Steve.
Here.
Lana.
Here.
Tara. Katie. Andy.
Here.
All right, so Jenny and Lindsay are absent. Lindsay, let me know. Oh, and they're sitting right there. So, nope, you're good. We're just doing roll call, so you're here now. Perfect. Did everybody get a chance to review the agenda? Can I have a motion? Katie, second.
Second.
All right. Approval of the minutes. Did everybody look at the minutes from the 18th of May? Okay, motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Steve. All right, okay. Don't have anybody here for public comment unless there's anybody online. Don't see anybody. No conflict of interest. Okay, director's report it is. So big things to talk about. Really, again, we've seen a lot of continued strong engagement on the website. We're really finally hitting that momentum point. Our SEO is really improving. We're now above that fake Visit Idaho Springs website on Google. So that is doing that. It's great for us. We're getting a lot of site traffic, an average between 80 and 100 a day, and then sometimes spiking up more on the weekends. So we're really seeing a steady increase in that traffic. And then again, continuing that engagement strategy. Social media growth is really where we've seen a lot of that. Obviously, putting some investment into that has done us some really good favors. We've really grown on both Instagram and Facebook, even these counts are off. So it grows now. It's on that momentum growth thing. The social media co-op is up and running. We've had our first rounds of posts go out. Clubs posts tomorrow. So everybody's kind of goes through. It's up to the business to accept it as a collaborator. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to communicate that and convince them to do it, since Steve is so humble. And the first post I put out for Tommy Knockers was praising Steve, which he didn't like, but
I heard it was amazing.
it was such a good post. It also got the most traction on a static post we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
So it shows again that people are interested in the stories we're telling, not selling them anything. So that's really a big deal.
I don't think we're connected in, however, we're supposed to be connected in. So maybe you can email Jonah and I in public call.
Sure.
Because he said he has no connectivity. He was our lead person on it. And I've not gotten anything to connect in, and neither has he. And
Logan, did we send Club their social posts? We would have gotten an email from Logan.
yeah, I mean, we paid.
Yeah. Well, and your posts are scheduled to go out because I didn't hear back. So I was just
Yeah,
we sent
because-
an email, so.
Oh, because Jonah was he said he looked through his spam and all of a sudden he didn't see anything, and I didn't get anything either. So I wonder if there's some kind of
We'll
email
check it.
situation.
There's definitely been a lot of that going on.
Okay,
Technology
thank you.
has been a fun thing.
Thank you.
Really. But we did
Thank
figure
you.
out how to get that going. So now those co-op posts are going live. We are full. We had one more business add in, and so now we have all the businesses for the summer co-op. So we'll relaunch again in the fall. Influencer partnerships remain really strong. I had Logan do a full report, and it didn't get into the packet, but says, so I'll put it up in the board notes and I'll email it out to everybody. So it basically says how much we paid them, what they posted, how many impressions we got out of it, and what we included in their stay. So what was comped in their stay. And then also it's tracking how many increases in visitors and follows we've gotten from after each influencer and what they've given. So kind of a way to track ROI. So I'll email that out as that got finished. Yeah. We don't have any more influencer partnerships, no more paid influencer partnerships, until we kind of get into the fall. season. Right now, we're just going off of people that want to participate and are reaching out for trade. So we do have quite a few people that want to ride the gondola, so we'll be able to comp those, and then I've been reaching out and saying, hey, you want to check out this or anything else? Come down to Minor, we can get you this. So we're kind of still experiencing a little bit of ripple off of that. Our spring streaming campaign completed, so that is now finished. The last part of that spring campaign is the Great Day Colorado segment, which will share, goes out tomorrow. So that will air tomorrow, and then we're done. Trash can project, still working on Dan Keller getting the original high-res imagery. Yeah, you keep sending me PDFs. So we're just gotta get that part, getting access to the historical imagery. It seems to be kind of a challenge point for sure. I don't know if anybody's seen Steve's new barrier. It's not Steve's, but on the Tommyknocker block, the new barrier is up and running. Steve has seen quite a bit of traffic on that. What do you want to tell us about it, Steve?
I've actually started taking pictures of people taking pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been like pretty interesting, because it's been a popular spot even with the construction looking barrier. But now it looks better. Families are gathering around it. I think with the improvements that they're gonna make to just make it more visible, it'd be a popular spot to take picture.
So what I would like to do, the feedback I've heard is the best of both worlds, people wanting like something that identifies it as the Minor Street Market, like the big orange barrier that's now backwards that I need to fix. Did you? Yeah. So best of both worlds, I talked to Ira from Happy Llama, and Steve and I have talked, and there's a way for us to put a banner on the backside. And in this section right here where there's a hole, we can have the banner on the other side say Minor Street Market, and then the words Idaho Springs will be a color. So there'll be a banner with a color. So the Idaho Springs will be that sunset gold color that we have. And then we'll have this say Minor Street Market, and then Steve has some reflector strips to put right here on the sides. So we'll install reflector strips on the edges right there, and then this will say Minor Street Market, and then Idaho Springs will be golded out. And then the sign, when you're looking at it going west, if you're looking at it on Minor going west, it will be the traditional Minor Street sign that we have on all of the internal barriers that says, welcome to Minor Street Market, where things slow down, where stories live, the same kind of banner that we have. So it'll be a two-sided banner, and how it attaches to this so we can get the most out of this barrier. These barriers have gotten a lot of really positive feedback. So it's kind of a discussion of the board on if we want to add these toppers and pursue a quote from the Sasquatch folks on adding these toppers to all the internal barriers, to see how much he would charge to just add these toppers to the internal barriers. We wouldn't cut them down, they're the same size. They would keep the banner on the bottom, and then they would just have these toppers on them on all the internals. I do recommend us leaving this one the same with the big orange sign on it. I think it communicates caution, slow down, entering pedestrian zone. And I think cutting it down to a shorter size would minimize its need to make sure people know, like, stop. This is something different, a kind of announcement gateway on this side. So thoughts, concerns, conversations?
Well, I can say that to do the work on this one was $400.
Yeah.
And you did it in 24 hours. I got that Paul Lewis and how many packed it up and put this piece on there.
What a joke, Steve.
I know, it's
You can't get anything done. No, it's amazing.
dirt cheap. And I mean, let's finish this one.
Yeah, we can finish this one and then go from there if we want. And if you want, I can pursue the board getting a quote, so we could at least understand how much he would charge us to do the remaining 1, 2. There's 4 internal barriers.
Complaining about that for so long, I think it's a great solution.
I think that anything that elevates anything aesthetically here, I've been spending a lot of time at bike parks in other counties, and just the amount of money that these counties are putting into
Wayfinding.
wayfinding is pretty insane. Like Frisco just redid all of theirs, so did Fraser. Fraser just opened in Red Park, which just is insane. Yeah, insane. So I think anything aesthetically elevating to the town is essential, honestly.
Well, that leads us into the wayfinding grant, which I will be kicking off. We got our funding, so Andy sent me the receipt that we've received our funding for the second round of the wayfinding and branding strategy. So I'll be meeting with Tommy Matthews and the team to start kicking that off. So we'll be doing another like work session on kind of brainstorming. Mainly the goal of that is how we can and what can we, from a low hanging fruit perspective, what can we pay for to implement immediately? And then what's a funding strategy to pay for the rest of the project? Because obviously there's twofold, obviously a grant for 20,000 with the match of what we put in there is not going to cover the cost of all of those signs that we got in the first round of wayfinding strategies. So this big thing will be kind of getting a strategy together on how we can pay for it, what that might look like. Yeah, either additional grants or being creative around parking funding or different solves for, and then what we might be able to implement with the funding that we have in place. So I'm gonna kick that off with Tommy Matthews. I would imagine you guys will see something from him and I in August as we kick this off, and he and I will work through July and then go from there.
So kind of if funding, and if we can find all the funding and stuff is the goal, so like maybe before next summer, have it in place.
That would be great.
Kind of like as soon as we can.
As soon as we can, I think is kind of the goal, is especially maybe prioritizing it in kind of like a staged and
Yeah.
staggered is like, what's the most important signs? I would think a lot of those standing stanchions that had the cartography map of like, you are here kind of things, wayfinding, I think is especially important as we're seeing. I don't know, Mayor, you drive around town on the weekends. I've seen a significant increase of pedestrians
Mhm.
on the weekends, walking from the east end into downtown or downtown into the east end. So I think it's really important that we make sure that those people are communicated with. I also think some of the tall poles that say cable car and hot springs and historic downtown, those might be something that we can do on an easier with Sasquatch. We might be able to create some low funding things that we can get those installed, because again, I think there's some key easy solves out of that plan. My goal is to have Tommy loop in the guys from Sasquatch, just because they're local, and they've been very vocal that they want to participate and help as much as they can. So
Awesome.
yeah, so we'll kind of start pursuing that and see where we go. The digital multimedia history tour grant has been fully approved and kicked off with Dylan and I. In your guys' packet, you see the contract with Creative Trajectory for him to do this grant. Essentially, it takes it out of Dylan and I having to do a bunch of management, and he's basically kind of taking the whole project under, and then he's going to be taking advisement from the Historical Society, us, and Dylan, as well as the Planning Commission or Historic Sites and Facilities. So it really, otherwise what we were gonna do is put a lot of burden on Dylan and I, and then contract with Ross and Kent to kind of do like the technical aspects, but this makes it so that really Dylan and I are just helping strategize and helping kind of direct, and Matt can do the rest and develop this app.
I read this and it seems great, but what is it actually gonna look like when you're done? How is it getting installed? And it doesn't include installation.
So it's being hosted on the Visit Idaho Springs website. So it will be QR codes that you are at the historic sites and facilities. So for say you're at the Carnegie Library, there'll be a little sign with a QR code. You scan that and it will take you to a page within Visit Idaho Springs. So it will all be built. That's something I can do. Add those existing pages and QR codes
So
with
is
it.
there a physical sign on the building? Is there a way to make it look so it doesn't disrupt the historical look, it's not like black and white.
Yeah, well, there'll be a whole design process around what the little historic, because History Colorado has very strict guidelines on what these little signs can look like. So they have templates for these kind of things that are like History Colorado and City of Idaho Springs, and it does this little thing, so.
I guess my point is like 25,000 is gonna be concept, and there's no more for the install.
It's included in there. It's included in all of that. Yeah, so because the only install is, it's the design of the signs, it's everything. The only install cost would be Public Works installing signs and me building the website.
So it didn't include that.
Matt's,
So I'm just saying,
Matt's
we
on
want
here
to get
too,
to the
so,
final, and then all of a sudden we figure out the signs are another $10,000 or something like that.
yeah. Let me make sure. Matt's on as well, so.
Howdy, can you guys hear me?
Hear you.
Hey, so I got a quote from Happy Llama for the sign size that me and Dylan agreed on, and it's totally within my like budget, and I'm taking care of all that. So, is that what your concern is, Steve?
Yeah, but
Signage
also,
responsibility.
like, is it gonna be like, right now, the historical signs are these bronze plaques, and I know those are probably about 2,000 each, because I had a small one made for about $800. And if it has to match that, like I've seen that QR code is actually a bronze plaque. I've seen it in other places in the world. And if it's like that, they're gonna be a couple $100 a piece.
Yeah, no, the sign that Matt and Dylan and I have discussed are like pretty small, like really it's meant to be that we're gonna be doing a digital marketing campaign to drive people and you'll be able to find these signs, so we'll have a map on the Visit Idaho Springs website. It's like, start your digital history tour at any of these points. And the sign is supposed to be designed as very low profile, very small, like, again, very like,
But yet something that people can easily find.
yes, exactly. But again, these are all established historic sites of
And
facilities.
they're gonna be installed on the buildings by the plaque.
No, Minor Street is not getting a QR code on each one of the plaques. Minor Street itself will be its own historic site and facility, so we'll pick probably in Citizens Park, I would imagine, a location for historic Minor Street. So the different historic sites, this is just first phase, so Dylan and I's goal is to apply for this grant again and do additional expansions, but there's only 10 historic sites that are covered in this. And we cannot do a QR code for each bronze plaque in this first round. So this will be like Water Wheel Park, there will be the library, there's a whole list of all this that Dylan provided via the grant that we have to go by those historic sites.
My question was timeline. There's a timeline addressed, but not like really time given. So what is kind of is a timeline based upon when you start? Like, what's the?
Yeah, Matt, do you want to speak to what you and Dylan have talked about via timeline? I think yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the timeline that History Colorado gives is about a year, but me, City, and Dylan all wanted to see it rolled out kind of around the fall. And I'm pushing for as soon as I can get it out because I think it's going to draw a good audience and just kind of, it'd be nice to get it towards the end of like in summer. So I'm going as fast as I can to get it going. The grant for legal purposes has to be completed within a calendar year. So like next August is the deadline, but we're not even going to be close to that. So hopefully I'm going for summer. The town's going for late fall, and yeah, I think.
He's already had a meeting with the Historical Society, and Jan and Bob Bolin and a few others. Kind of talk through some of the stories and some of the content and what we're gonna be covering. So we've really had a lot of this already pre-worked out, so we're just in the sense of like ready to officially kick it off by approving the contract and getting it going. And we have already submitted for our funding. And again, this is a no match grant. So this is 25,000 that History Colorado gives us with no strings attached, except for obviously completion of the project.
And you don't feel like the historical folks are gonna be any kind of bottleneck road along?
So we
Not-
had a Oh, sorry. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago and I set them forward to kind of bring their ideas to me and then make sure that we accurately represent Idaho Springs. But we're actually meeting tomorrow to converge all of our ideas and hopefully finish out kind of their involvement.
Great. Yeah, so we should really be able to kind of move forward as quickly as possible. And Dylan already has the historic images of a lot of what we need for these sites and facilities. And again, Dylan has a pretty established vision and plan of how this is gonna look from that sense. So, cool. Thank you, Matt. Okay. So our field session intern program is wrapping up. I will be seeing this dashboard for the first time completed this week. We were able to get most of the data required. We've got parking data finally. And so this dashboard for a while will be internally visible between this board, city council, and whoever else internally we want to have. Eventually, we could make this a forward-facing dashboard to all business owners, and we can make it visible on Visit Idaho Springs' website. It's updatable and refreshable. It has a lot of reports and analytics already built into it by these team of Mind students. So I'd be able to present that dashboard to the board in July. So it will show us a lot about what visitation trends are and all of it, what it means from a financial. I sent you an email, Andy, about if you, Mayor, or Guy wanted to attend that training handoff session with the Mind students. And it would be worth it if one of you could attend that. It is, no, the final handoff is Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, Wednesday afternoon. And then they'll be presenting it to their class at Colorado School of Mines on the 18th. So then it's complete. So very quick turn on that. They will be giving me recommendations on where, for say, we might think about from a city installing additional trail counters in Virginia Canyon Mountain Park to more accurately capture trail user data, because currently the locations of the trail counters is challenging to provide accurate trail user data. So they are going to provide recommendations for the city on where we might consider making sure we have better trail counting data. Okay, I went to a CTO crisis communication workshop, and in your guys' packet is the CTO communication toolkit. Of course, right after I went to this, we had our first helicopter flight for life in Virginia Canyon Mountain Park. Luckily, that ended very well and was a very mild situation overall. But what it did kind of point out is that as a city of Idaho Springs, we do not have a specific formal crisis communication plan. So this potentially could be worked into the visitor management plan that I'm working on. However, like, I'm pretty at capacity, as many of you know, and I've talked to a lot about that. So it's something that should be addressed, making sure we have a communication plan, as we know that something in Virginia Canyon Mountain Park is just a matter of time.
When I read it, and the first thing I thought of was it said, you have to have a lead person. So all this is about communicating with the media.
Yep, exactly. It's all about making sure that whoever's talking to the media, that there is a person there's one person that they know that's accessible, that's not going to say I have a comment.
Or at least a small group.
Yeah.
Because like say you're not available, but it's adding more than 40% in the meeting.
Yeah, so it's just really goes through kind of that we don't really have a plan. So it might be good for us to consider doing that. I know the county has an emergency communication response plan from a county level, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. Okay. I think that they do. I haven't had an in-depth conversation with Colton, but this is mainly more from like a visitor's perspective, how as Visit Idaho Springs, we would be communicating during a crisis, making sure that our messaging is aligned and making sure.
Idaho Springs.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, is that a Visit Idaho Springs or like City of Idaho Springs?
I
feel
think
like
it's
this is
it's a
city.
combo, because you have to be able to communicate both to your residents and your visitors. So what they made clear is that the last thing you want to do is there's, say, a death in Virginia Canyon Mountain Park and it gets on the news and the city and Visit Idaho Springs is completely silent. Like, that is not what looks good. What looks good is an aligned response that says the same thing to both your visitors and to, from an official channel standpoint, that they go hand in hand.
Would you want somebody from Virginia Canyon? Like from Coma or?
No, because it's
Like
a
the
city
thing.
municipal
It's a
park.
It could be a
thing,
school
so-
shooting, it could be,
A wildfire, it could be a
Wildfire.
house fire, it could be a business getting robbed, and there's so many things.
I want to loop in, Nate Busick, our police chief, because
Yeah.
he is very proactive, as you know, and he, is already, well equipped to do news releases when it's concerning the types of incidents you were just speaking about. Now, if you're talking about something else that people need to be aware of, not necessarily, an accident or a death or something like that, we need to think about that perhaps.
Yeah, well, and that's what I mentioned in the director's report is needing to find alignment, because what this really said is like, as a tourism organization, we also need to have our, like, of course, chief and all, chief and fire will have their own communication plans and their own public information officers that are in charge of that. There's just also an important perspective of a tourism organization being able to communicate from and to the visitors, and from that perspective, it's not trying to replace what the police are doing
No.
or fire,
I'm
but
just saying,
collab.
you could build off of like trying to get to the visitor community. We
Yeah.
could come up with a system where you have his news release and then we can figure out, okay, how do we communicate that? to the visitor?
yeah, and then really the toolkit like walks through all of that. It really tells you basically like, how to use your social media, how to combine those things, when, what messages make sense where, so. It just is something we would need, Chief and I can sit down and talk through it
I'm
and kind of,
happy to be a part of that too.
Yeah,
I,
okay.
I agree with you, we can certainly make some improvements in that area.
Yeah, because I really feel like this is a city leadership
Yep.
responsibility, not a Sadie leadership responsibility. Like Sadie can partner in it, but I feel like the city needs to be the.
it could be a contact, like start with me, then it goes to you, then it goes to you. Like when news comes, like who do we send someone, because I don't want to do a statement. And, it should be
a tree.
yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
And if I may, just, this actually, believe it or not, hasn't changed that much in 30 years. So, I was media trained by Ned Walker, the senior vice president of communications for Delta Airlines, who was ripped off from Continental Airlines. And it was hardcore training. Because we always had 6 or 7 lawsuits going on at any one time, never ever changed. And we were very tourism based, and so they would teach you things. The only thing I didn't see in there that maybe is like only a minor advancement is speaking in sound bites. You kind of get used to that, because that really is what they want. So you'd kind of plot and throw out bait. And maybe if there were 4 things you wanted to get through, you would have like 4 10-second ways of, and hope they picked up on it, but a lot of that is very much the same as it was with emergency communications. But what I wanted to tell the board is the news media can be very pesky. So, like I would speak with them, but then, they would want to talk to Frank Lorenzo. In our case, I'm sure, I think Chief Busick does an excellent job. And the county's sheriff PIO does a very good job. But then they still, for whatever reason, want to talk to the mayor. And it's just to see maybe they can get some more dirt, or scoop
Find
Mm-hmm.
the
uh,
person who's gonna say the wrong thing.
Yeah, so you try when you can to funnel it the right direction to the right people.
So I guess if like, let's say people Because it's not that hard to find any of us on the board, like, I mean, so if somebody does call us, what do we say? What's the wording that we should say?
Well, I think there's that by time statement, you know, like, it's fine to say like, I don't know, I'm not the point of contact, please contact this person and say like, the person that is the contact is this. However, like I said, we don't really have like that formal like plan of things. And I think it depends on several things, like what is the incident? What, you know, so I think it's wise for us to kind of maybe dive into that a little bit and I'll get with Nate and you and we'll see kind of like what that might look like using this as a.
So you suggest we go for one of these grants?
We're probably, I mean, we could apply for one more tourism management grant if we want. We've won two. So tourism marketing and management grants, marketing grant, I'm not sure that it would apply for that unless we're like. I'd have to dig into that, but the management grant, that's what we've been using for wayfinding. So if we apply for it for something else, we get one more round of apply and then we have to sit out for 2 years. So you can only get 3 in a row.
I don't even know what you'd spend this money on this topic.
No, I'm not sure what we would spend this money on this topic. Again, I think it's wise for us to continue to apply for the tourism management grant to continue to advance the wayfinding and the plans around the wayfinding. The marketing grants, I haven't quite found a project that we're ready to apply for from the marketing grant perspective. So,
I bet law enforcement has an advisor that you can wait to your meeting with me. And they can lay it out for you what they've had success with.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so I'll reach out to Nate and Andy and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, event planning, spring and summer events have been pretty awesome. Outside Days was great. We gained over 2,000 contacts from that event. That was a data share event. Lots of really good face-to-face engagement, community response. We also connected with other collaborators as well as other opportunities. One of those specifically is the Great American Beer Festival. They are hunting for Visit Idaho Springs to do an activation with Tommy Knockers and the park and Argo, bike company, yeah, to do a combo booth at Great American Beer
I'm
Festival.
envisioning having like an active bike station there and make fun for the GBF people.
Nice.
I'm not sure.
Pedal and.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Like fills
Like,
up a cup and once you pedal hard enough, it tips.
Yeah.
and dumps on your head or something,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we could get creative on it. It's essentially a pay to play kind of thing. So they're looking for cost sponsorships. So we'll get into that as we move more into the budget conversation, because I know Andy's got things to say. So we'll leave it for now on that. Borough races. So Borough races was a successful weekend. This is the first time we've programmed Borough races from Visit Idaho Springs, City of Idaho Springs perspective, creating the event zone and the family fun zone. It was hugely successful. We had a busy, long day where people who watched the race in the morning stayed in the community a lot longer. We had a lot more people in town and it was very active and very well received. I will say that Steve and I overworked ourselves significantly, both from a logistical end on the race end and me, myself on the event side. So Steve and I both worked, he was up way earlier than I was. So I was here at 7, he was here like 5. Like he ran the course 3 times that day, walked the course 3 times that day to mark the course, to pick up after, all these things. I know Steve has feelings about the race organizers, and I'm not saying that the race organizers are bad people or bad event organizers. I just think that they're at capacity and it might be time for the Visit Idaho Springs to make that an official city event, and we can partner with them in a more official capacity because they need significant logistical support. Ed and I were talking the morning of the event, trying to figure out where street closures were because the special event permit was not filled out in a proper fashion, and we didn't know where barriers were supposed to go and where things were, and we're talking at 7 o'clock on a Friday where Ed's not supposed to have any overtime, and he's sitting there trying to figure out where to put darn barriers so burros don't run into cars. So it just turned into a notice where I think this is a wonderful event for Idaho Springs. It's been here a long time. And I do think it's time that it's big enough here that we need to take it on as an official City of Idaho Springs event. Many other communities do. And the race organizers just kind of manage the race aspect, and then city kind of handles all the logistics. So it would require Juan from Clear Creek Burros Racing to partner with the City of Idaho Springs, and it would be an official city event. So that from a logistical and planning standpoint, we could figure it out, because while it was wonderful, Steve and I way overdid it.
And, I did get comments from the locals saying like, this is the best vibe on Main Street since Gold Rush days.
Yeah.
But it had that kind of, so it's queued up already, we've been kind of looking for something
Yep.
like this. And the race has been growing a little bit every year and kind of, butting heads a little bit with different parts, but this is an opportunity to maybe embrace it and have some control taken by the city instead of the burro racers doing everything.
So I think it might be a wise move in our part. Obviously, we don't have to make a decision right now. But it's definitely something that we can talk about moving forward. 4th of July. So, we did talk to council, let them know that we have decided not to do fireworks and then officially cancel them for this year. Council was in full support of that. To plan a more lower lift, Gold Rush style family fun day. I have secured a bouncy slide, massive bouncy slide, like humongous bouncy slide, and climbing wall, and the little train that's gonna go through town. We do still have some music activation that day. Obviously, with that, you can see on that page kind of the budget reallocation of that funds. One main thing to ask from the board is, do we want to pursue a band from 5 to 7 to 8? I do have a couple people that are interested in that slot, but I have not finalized it because it is a conversation from the board. I've heard a lot of businesses that are very concerned that we're gonna lose a lot because we don't have any late night programming. So if we don't program a stage from 5 till dark-ish, people will leave and there will be nobody on Minor after 4 o'clock.
And everything else is leaving at 5,
Everything else is leaving at 5.
all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff is like the bouncy house, the train, and the climbing wall are leaving at 5.
I think for locals, having something late would be nice, because I do think people will come up here and recreate during the day, but they're gonna go see fireworks somewhere else, which is okay.
There's really nowhere.
I thought Arvada's having them.
They just got pulled because of water restrictions.
No way. Okay, I just heard that 2 days ago. My husband was like, well, we should go see fireworks in Arvada. So,
Yeah.
well, that being said, never mind.
Yeah, so they just put on, we're now on like this, the state has put out like significant drought restriction warnings, which puts like it even harder to host a fireworks show.
Coors Field too.
Yeah, Coors Field is doing them,
Okay.
I believe. But I think that's all from what I understand.
So is this 23,860, is that 27 for fireworks?
No, that's the total of the budget without fireworks. This event traditionally is budgeted at 43. Traditionally, 4th of July, we spend around $43,000 on, so it's cutting it in half to 23. And also remember, we do have a little over 8,000 in sponsorship dollars that's offsetting that as well, because we have the 5,000 from CDOT and the 3,500 from Interstate. So there's still that event sponsorship money that's also coming in as well, which kind of covers the bounce house, climbing wall, and train. I kind of took that out of fireworks budget reallocation, but Andy and I need to sit down and kind of re-go over a few things, but it's kind of about whether or not we want to program that later slot in music.
Yeah, 100%. I think we should.
Yeah,
Have
now that
something
I know that there's no fireworks going on anywhere else, I mean, I still think people are gonna go try to find drum shows or whatever, but they probably went down there anyway, but I think we should have something to offer in the later hours that will keep people around. Like, okay, let's do this instead.
Okay. I will
And
proceed.
say historically, we've had a band go until 7 o'clock, 8
8
o'clock.
Closer to
You know,
9.
Yeah, almost closer to
so-
9. It's like
so that has
8:45.
been kind of our practice in the past,
It has.
so I gotta be fine with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I will confirm that in with some options there for you guys. So Rapid Grass has officially been confirmed up at the top of the Argo. So that's exciting for all of us that were concerned that Rapid Grass would not be happening. It is happening. They are gonna do it a Friday evening, Saturday most day. So Friday evening, like 4 to,
Like 4 to 8-ish
and then Saturday, like
is.
1-ish. Noon.
So the doors will open at 3 on Friday for the concert itself, and then the doors will open at noon on Saturday.
Okay, so, they did ask for Visit Idaho,
Where are they gonna park?
at the Argo side.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Argo parking?
Yep, in the Argo
You think
parking.
that's big enough to,
If not, they're gonna spill over onto Colorado Boulevard and pay for parking on Colorado Boulevard.
are they gonna have to ride the gondola to the top to see the concert?
Or
Unless they
hike.
hike up.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
an easy 4 mile hike to the top, is fine.
sure.
Just a few hours.
Just a few, just a light hike,
Just a
That's
couple of
commitment,
details.
guys.
just a light hike, yeah. Yeah.
It's fine.
So, it will be significantly smaller than what we've seen at the ball fields, since hence the lead time, tickets aren't going to be announced until later this week. So it's not a lot of lead time on tickets, and it will be a limited capacity ticketed event, meaning they're not gonna be selling thousands of tickets, it's gonna be a limited,
Given the timeframe, it's more of a show. It's not.
Not quite a festival.
Yeah,
Not
hang
quite.
out and go through the, just like a one-scene show.
Well, normally it's, there's vendors there, you've participated in it since the beginning, and it's like, there's always so much to do, but
there's going to be a few vendors, right, Rose, like some,
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have few vendors. Obviously, we have limited space compared to the ball field, so it will not be the same. But I'm gonna do my best to like still have the local vendors up there and still have like that catering, but it is definitely limited to years before. So I'm trying to plan around that and see what I can and can't do with my limited.
it's also a first time for the Argo, so this is their kind of first test in to throw in kind of a more of a festival style, private ticketed, meaning that you have to buy a Rapid Grass ticket to get up there. So it's gonna be more expensive than a regular gondola ticket. It will be a gondola ticket plus a Rapid Grass ticket.
what about for people who just, like spectators that just wanna go ride the gondola, are they still gonna have that? You can't.
Will be open to the public from 9 a.m. to 2-ish on Friday. But that's it.
No
It'll-
bikers?
The bikers can, yeah, they
You
just
can
would
still
have
ride the
to,
gondola?
like, they can ride the gondola and go
Okay.
down, but that's like a logistic that I have to figure out, like, with the bikers, like, what we're really going to do. If they wanna come into Rapid Grass, we can't necessarily stop them, so there's that.
But they'll be having to buy their bike pass, yeah.
Will you just keep us looped in on that too?
Of
so we
course,
can-
yeah.
So we can spread that information, cause people are gonna ask about that,
For
so.
sure, and I'm gonna have, like, on the website, I will have an entire landing page specifically for Rapid Grass, since this is the first time that we're doing anything like this, it's going to be a very
It's gonna be a
logistic heavy
learning.
planning, and a
Yeah.
learning experience for
That's okay.
sure. But we'll see how it
Which-
goes this year.
Which comes to Argo's ask. So they did ask for a sponsorship, and I had said that the money for Rapid Grass had already been reallocated. But they asked for an in-kind sponsorship for me to kind of help from a logistical standpoint, mainly because I have worked with Mark a lot. And so I can kind of help wrangle Mark from a sense of making sure he's kind of going in the right direction and staying in his lane. So I feel pretty confident that I can kind of help support that, and then we can co-collaborate and promote and still say that Visit and Idaho Springs is supporting this event. And in the chat, people are asking what the cost is, and that's gonna be announced on Friday,
Yes.
Carla. So all that will be announced on Friday at their summer concert series announcement. So that'll be announced then. Any questions on that?
Good luck. I hope it goes smooth. Thank you.
Yeah.
It'll be fun,
It will
they
be
said.
fun. Very fun.
It's gonna be great.
So Steve and I have started to dive into the fall festival planning. Steve's reached out to Shamrock Foods, so we're starting to kind of get the Taste of Idaho Springs thing finalized. We've connected with Kent Slaymaker, and we'll start kind of the music concept of that. There is a conversation ongoing around, and we'll get into it in the budget conversation when we get there, but the need to consider at some point within the near future purchasing a sound system versus continuing to rent a sound system. Because the rentals of the sound system is costing us a lot of money. And we could buy something for relatively low cost that we could use, that would be more versatile. We could use it at things like photo races. We could use it at several other things, and maybe just for things like 4th of July, we add an enhancement to it, extra speakers on the stage. But it's definitely worth something to consider. I don't have any final numbers or anything around that, but I will keep.
So the sound system for music or for PA?
We do both. Sharon Bissett's husband has been talking to me about it, and he's gonna build me like a couple of quotes of options of things that he could put together. That would be like kind of all purpose for what we do, and that the only thing we would really need to do is maybe enhance it for things like 4th of July. So that's kind of where we are on that.
To have someone who can operate the system. Even a more complex band system, okay. Usually techies.
You can also hire a sound engineer,
Okay.
and that, again, that cost is significantly less, hiring a sound engineer than it is, and then, what's Sharon's husband's name? Phil, I always forget his name. Phil is a sound engineer, so he's kind of going from that perspective of saying, like, there are sound engineers in our community that we could hire locally as well, so. Okay, community conversations, Andy is requesting that we have another one soon,
I'm so sorry, real fast. When is the fall festival date again?
first weekend in October.
Thank you.
It's the 2nd and 3rd. So Andy, you want to speak into the need for a community conversation?
Well, I was just asking, I had one on my calendar for another date, and I was just confirming that. And so I'm pretty flexible on when we have it. I know we have the meetings with HDR coming up in August, right? So I'm thinking we probably could push it until then, unless there's an urgent need to have one sooner than that, and maybe have it before those meetings to kind of promote those meetings.
Yeah, we could do it. We could do it like the first part of August.
Just a thought, yeah.
Yeah, to
And I think
promote.
we're still, things are going slower than we would like with the agreement with CDOT. So as far as that goes, we don't have a whole lot more to report there.
Okay,
So I think we could probably use a little more time there. Hopefully we can have an agreement and know exactly what it looks like.
so we could look at that first week in August, like the 5th or 6th. That's a Wednesday or a Thursday. We've traditionally gotten pretty good attendance on either Wednesdays or Thursdays for, but I do think if it's the first week, that's when planning commission is, so maybe we go that second week. So like either the 12th or 13th of August, it's a Wednesday or a Thursday.
13th is, I'm sure that,
Mhm.
that happened.
When's the drone? Did you say drone show?
They're still deciding about that right now, so
Oh. There was a date for that.
there was a date.
Did you want to do a community conversation East and West End again, or is it just?
Do we feel like we need to do both sides of town? I mean, the last one on the east end was pretty effective. I think we are alternating each quarter, like east end downtown. So this one would be downtown. Thoughts on the 12th or 13th?
We were gonna go rapid, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun. So let's plan for August 12th. We'll do it at TK. We'll go from there. Okay, so budget. So we had talked about reallocation of the fireworks money. And Andy, do you want to provide a brief update in this part of the conversation?
Sure, no, I mentioned to Sadie earlier today that, I think it would be best to just focus on priorities, as far as how you want to reallocate the money, and then, we need a little bit of, flexibility with when we might implement some of these. I know some of the money might go to the fall festival, I think that's not a problem, a little bit later this year. But right now, we've just got a lot of expenses and our cash flow is pretty tight, so we just wanna, our departments are doing the same thing, it's just keeping to the essential expenses, keeping to the things we're already committed to, with expenses, some of the programming we're doing, which is great. But as far as new initiatives, expenses we weren't necessarily, planning on, we might, just set some priorities for those, and as funding, eases up, I think we can make those happen.
I agree, I think, what you're doing is working really well, the branding and writing up there. And, we spend all the money we have, and we break the end of the year from the bank.
If we could save a little bit of money right now, that's also good, you know, and again, our departments are trying to do the same thing, so.
But there is some ones that kind of hit good points, like, doing the bus standing promotion would help because of the parking problem. So right now, we're at capacity already, so it doesn't make sense to spend a bunch of money marketing this summer when we're already gonna be at capacity the majority of the time. But doing a bus stand promotion, if it's not too expensive, would be getting additional customers and tax revenue for non-parking park spots.
So I think if the board can have some input on the priority list, then Sadie and I can just keep the communication as far as, okay, what are we thinking about these first couple? Can we go with them, you know, then down the list? That works for you all.
So are you asking your departments like a certain percentage reduction in their spending, or how are you?
We haven't gotten
looking
that
at
specific, but we're just asking, you know, just to, you know, if the project that can be put off, we're doing that right now. Like a paving project, as an example.
And then the part-time seasonal event staff. What events are, like summer events we're talking about, you have an assistant?
Yeah, mainly for like 4th of July. So whether the board knows this or not, it doesn't really matter. It's my personal choice to do it because it's a lot of work for me, but I pay Logan out of my own pocket to help me at events. Because we don't have volunteers, no matter how many times I ask for volunteers, we get you guys. But there's no extra volunteers, and we have volunteer burnout in this community, it's something, so it's worth to pay. So I've been paying Logan out of my pocket to help me at events, and to help me kind of manage that workload. So we could potentially look at that from, 4th of July, some music on minor, although that's a really relatively low lift, and the first one was very low lift, so, and now it's pretty much the same vendors, so they kind of, now they've done it, they know where they're going. It would be some help at the fall festival, so it would be those 3, and then again, like, probably help at the Ramble at the end of the year, for sure.
You get those dates out for everything to me, and then I wonder if there's a way that we could kind of market the volunteer.
We've tried.
I think some money set aside to help with those things is a really great idea. If we can do it. Like within the budget of the event. Having, a few $100s for help would be smart.
Like I said, you need 15 hours per week for 16 weeks, is that like the wish list, but there's like, you could go a little bit less and still be effective, or is that what you need?
I mean, I could go less than that, could still be effective. I think there's a lot of help just kind of managing the minutia of what, I mean, I'm a team of one doing a job of 5 to 7 people. You know, so there's a lot that goes into this job that's outside of the realm of one person's capacity to be able to cover. So Logan helps with, you know, the influencers, managing all the gift bags, making sure, you know, so he does a lot more than just, you know, helping at one event here and there. So it's like, it does, again, as I had, and again, I asked for this last year in budget because of the fact that this is not a sustainable job for one person to do by themselves. It's just not, you know, this is managing marketing, managing events, and then being boots on the ground at events is not one person's job. Logan?
Are we also expecting volunteers to stay after hours to do breakdown, setup? Vendor, I mean, that's just are we waiting for volunteers at 9 o'clock at night when, I mean, like Katie said, we can probably put a pool out there for volunteers, but how many people are going to want to do that?
So,
But if
Yeah.
Logan's like delegating to them.
Well,
Yeah.
when I volunteer for an event, I try to stay until the bitter
It's
end. Not all of them
close
do.
and-
Some
yeah.
of them are like, I did my part by, but
Yeah.
like, I think it's like
I
an
think that's one
unspoken
thing, at
rule
least
to
like
stay.
working, like growing up in this town, I've seen that from volunteers. They're not gonna stay until 9 o'clock at night to do tear down,
Yeah,
but someone will.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, because at the end of the day, they're running their businesses or doing whatever else they're needing to do. They might need to go close down their business, like they might not be able to stay. So some of it's just the capacity issue of all the humans and like you two should not be picking up the slack. I think looking at this list, that's the only priority I see on this list. Like the other things, even the bus staying, like we tried to do an Instagram, like social media campaign with the bus staying, be like, come stay with us, and nobody cared. We've done it with Visit Clear Creek, nobody cares. And so I'm not so sure that the bus staying, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, I'm just not sure that it's a priority. In my mind, the only thing on this list that would be a priority would be the part-time seasonal events and marketing support, and the rest of it feels like if we have the money, they're awesome.
those are cool ideas to spend some money on if we have the
Yes,
funds.
if we
to do
had
it.
the funds,
Yeah.
but the part-time seasonal events and marketing support staff seems like what you actually need.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement. I mean, you know, it's a lot of work, you know, and we're gaining momentum, which means there's more work, not less work. So
I'm just not sure we can ever depend on volunteers because no matter whether it's burnout or whatever it is, like just having somebody paid to do it and it's their job is just different. Than
there is a Main Street Colorado grant, and Dylan and I have been working with Carla Cole, and Carla dropped some stuff in the chat about it, that we could apply for that would have funding for staff. It actually is one grant that pays for additional staff. Now, there is a litany of things that come with being designated as a Main Street community. Now, this board does meet a lot of those check boxes that would classify us on things we haven't in the past been able to meet. Now that we have this board and the director position, that is again, though, additional responsibility to what I'm already doing is managing a Main Street program, which I'm not quite sure how much of a lift that is. I haven't dived deep into that, but there is a Main Street Colorado grant that would help pay for additional staff for management of a Main Street community. So that's worth something to continue to explore as we look for like next year and solving for this long term. But I will say that it is the thing that out of this list of priorities, it is the thing that would help the most.
Also, it is hard to find volunteers, it's even hard to find people to pay. You know, if you have a willing person to do this under this criteria, kind of part-time or whatever, it's not easy to find.
Well, and as we're up and coming and more people are visiting us, we don't want to be incompetent at what we're doing. Like that would be bad for us to not do it well. And I'm not saying you're not doing it.
No,
well. I'm
I
just
know-
saying
I know exactly what you're
Eventually,
saying.
like exhaustion takes us all, so.
Yeah.
I think a few $100 per event would be a good idea, so they can have some prep time, some time, you know, during the event, and then if there's anything.
Job description or something.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what in here is like that social media support, that content gathering, that visitor engagement, downtown activations, those kind of things are kind of like the key parts that if we can take those things off, it helps a lot. Again, event operations, like getting structured up for the event, building the event map, making sure all the vendors know where to go, making sure everybody has closing things down at 9 o'clock and making sure all the tents end up back in my office unpacked so we don't have a hole in a tent. You know, those are kind of things that are just also, you know, so that Steve is not running around at 9 o'clock at night either.
It doesn't make any sense to put in 15-hour days when it's.
Yeah.
And having someone who's flexible too, that that's not their income they're relying on, that would be nice as well.
And young.
If it's like specialized
And
teaching.
young.
I was like, I have this 19-year-old and he just like cleans rooms like you wouldn't believe. It's like, yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it kind of that, for 16 weeks at that 15 hours, it's $4,800 kind of is my average, is kind of where I did. And is there a little bit less and a little bit more? Sure, absolutely. Like 4th of July, would it be a little bit more? Probably a little more than 15 hours that week.
But
Just
some of the-
because 4th of July itself is a 10-hour day.
Right, and like Matt Munson, is he doing some of the social media support and content gathering? Like would that
He's-
roll into his work as well?
He's doing all of that. It's just the posting, like, so
Got it.
it's getting it from his app and
Into
into the dashboard and getting it actually posted, doing the communication with the businesses, being like, hey,
Yeah.
your post is up for collab, go accept your collab, those
Yeah.
kind of things.
I've
It's just
seen-
those fiddly bits.
Yeah,
of
I've seen
the-
the county dashboard, so I get what you're talking
Yeah.
about, because there's still a decent amount of things that you need to do to.
Yeah, to get it
Review
from the
them,
dashboard,
approve
review
them,
them,
yeah.
make sure the businesses who in the collab have reviewed them, stuff like that. So,
Okay.
Say this amount, for a part-timer would be spread out over the four months,
correct,
is that right?
16
That
weeks.
makes it a little more manageable too.
Yeah.
You're paying it out over that time rather than a one time.
It wouldn't be like one chunk of
Yeah.
4,800, it would be spread out over and again, billed at that $20 an hour.
Right.
Kind of over the course of 16 weeks.
I think we should do it.
I think we should do it too, but I think that we should cut out some of this other stuff.
Well, it's a capacity thing too, that I
Yeah.
worry a little bit about. I mean, a lot of this is all good stuff, but every one of these items is gonna take more time for someone to manage and to deal with.
Well, not only that, but when we're launching other social media campaigns too, I feel like you see instant response from that, but it also takes a while.
Mhm.
And just to see some of the I don't even know the word.
Like let it kind of play out here
Let
for
it
a
play out
minute.
for what we're doing right now, and let's focus on getting you some help where you needed support, not help, sorry, but getting you support where you need it, and then just kind of letting it do its thing for a minute before we just start spending money in other areas that just don't really make sense right now.
Again, all of these ideas for how to spend these money absolutely can be done at any point in time.
Exactly.
There's
Just
no,
table it
like
for
Andy
now.
said, we can prioritize that as we move forward. So if we reallocate just the small portion towards that part-time seasonal event person, then the rest of that priority can just sit in that activation reserve that sits there, marketing activation reserve. We can just sit it over there, and then all of the rest of these funds, so that would be.
Everything you're doing now is not stopping. It's still.
No.
It's
Yeah.
all working, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Very well, it's alive.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I still have budgeted just for summer alone in marketing, which is mainly gonna be paid social, boosting paid social. I've got $2,500 budgeted already for paid stuff in summer. And then obviously we have 4th of July money we've spent. There's the Music on Minor, and the money is already allocated for the fall festival.
So we need to make a motion.
Yeah, when we get to the action items on the, so I'm gonna write that motion in my brain while we're moving on. So, I hear you on that. So also in your board packet, and Lana and I already talked about this, so Lana's gonna help me, but in your board packet, you guys do now have an up-to-date budget that's year-to-date spending on each category. Lena's gonna help me turn it into a more easy to read format. This is how my brain works. So, Lena's gonna help make it more like easy to read, but basically you can kind of see where we are, what we've spent so far, where we've come in under budget, where we've gone in over budget. For example, I came in $1,700 under budget for Fordlands Fest. We budgeted 5,000, I spent 3,200. So kind of being able to see that now real time for you guys for requested, and kind of see where we've spent so far on influencers, where we've spent so far on our marketing dollars and our branded content. So I'm gonna send her this Excel spreadsheet, and so you'll start to see another version of this maybe, but does anybody have any questions on what you did see?
And it's looking here, still part. Right.
I can hear that.
Yeah.
Hopefully all good things.
He doesn't wanna pick you.
Oh, he's like, I'll just go.
Yeah, he's talking, but I don't know. Okay, so.
I have people, I've had customers ask, they're like, can we stay here while can we park here while we walk downtown after they eat? And I'm like, I
Would prefer you not do
prefer
that.
to take your car with you. Sorry, like.
So some things to note that I think are really interesting, as we look at kind of the data analytics. So sales tax data for April was down. However, what's interesting is visits off of Placer are up for April. So we saw more people spending less money. So this is kind of where I was talking around, kind of thinking about some of our messaging, and just because we're not putting money towards it doesn't mean that our messaging can't be focused on that. But I think kind of talking about packages, collaborations, come visit Tommy Knockers, get a discount here, come visit Club, when you stay at Club Hotel, you get all of this. So what I think it's telling us about our visitor is that right now visitors are being more conservative with their pocket, how much they're spending.
Hospitality is a national average. Everybody's doing it. They're pre-partying before they go out at night at home, or they're going out and having dinner, they're having an app and a couple of drinks and go home and eating. It's happening nationally.
I mean, gas is astronomically high. It costs $40 just to drive up here. If you live
Food's expensive, going up
expensive.
Yeah.
It's all.
What I also am
Yeah.
seeing, which is interesting, Steve asked me to dive into it, is that if we are seeing more visitors earlier than we did year over year, which is also true. So we are seeing, since the end of April to date, we're seeing a significant increase in visitors over last year.
We're averaging 8% more this year than last year visitors. Spending's up a little bit, but not like it should be.
So again, we're seeing more people, and we're just not necessarily seeing that convert into dollars being spent.
I
Tara?
feel like that's definitely what tracks with what I've noticed, but I don't think it's bad per se. Because if we're getting people here, they're experiencing it, maybe next time they get something at my shop, or the next time more people like come in from whoever bought one little thing. So I think it's almost like a delay in our advertising in a way. So it's like they're coming here for the first time and maybe they're spending more next time type of thing, where they're just, does that make sense?
Mhm.
And comparatively to macroeconomics, maybe we're actually ahead.
Yeah, and again, car count for April on I-70 was also significantly down. We do have nice things, I'm sure, as people have driven by, the Floyd Hill rock blasting is so very, very, very close.
I thought we were done with rock blasting.
Yeah.
I was like, she lied to me.
Wish I could have said that, they said.
But today they briefed, almost like all the barriers.
Almost
are
all the
down
barriers are
this
down,
week, so they can't be
so
doing much
I
more
have an
than that way.
in-person project leadership update and tour on Wednesday. So my goal is to have a firm update for all of you on Wednesday this week, by the end of day Wednesday, because I've been pestering them.
Well, they had
Um,
almost only like 3 or 4 sets that were
Sections, yeah.
still up, and all the rest have come down since last week.
And then again, what I see, what we've already secured is Jess and I have secured a partnership with I-70 Things to do a really big collaborative boosted, hey, come to Idaho Springs, rock blasting is over, like marketing push with I-70 Things. So that Instagram account alone draws like millions and millions of followers. So he's a really good, Alejandro is a really great person to push. When we hit that official no more rock blasting date, we will be promoting that up the wazoo with him, and CDOT is kicking in on his collab. So he's being paid by CDOT as well. So that's nice kind of partnership that we'll be able to work through with him to really announce it and make a big bang.
Well, and I was gonna say Clear Creek Tourism, like one of the things we're working with Matt on is to do like the affordable destination
Mhm.
versus like going to Summit or Grand.
That's what I was gonna say, our
And
numbers
so-
being what they are, they're probably better than the communities west of us.
They
Yes,
are
yes.
significantly, so.
Yeah, and so that was one of the ideas that we talked about last week, was doing like this is your affordable option. And so still come and play.
And again, we're that accessible. We are, as I've been telling you guys, as we kind of worked into this year, we are what they're looking for. We are the solution to their problems. Everybody still needs to get out and recreate. With the Argo opening and continuing to see that momentum build, I think we really have a lot of momentum to continue to see what we have been doing play out and continue to work. So while April was down, again, I think the biggest things I wanted to show you guys was visits are up. Visits are also up for May, as well as spending might be up for May. So there's hope that we'll look at May's sales tax and see an increase in May's sales tax dollars. Obviously, we can't see that until next month, but we can hold hope, because when I look at arrivalists and arrivalist spending data, we are seeing that average spend up traditionally over all of May. So the only weekend we were down on spending, which is interesting, was Memorial Day weekend. But we we're way over on placer visits on Memorial Day weekend.
It was also weird this year because like a lot of schools weren't out yet, and so.
It was also not the last weekend in May,
Yeah.
so we had that second weekend in May push.
Yeah.
So actually, let me change my mind. Memorial Day weekend, we were over on spending. It was that last weekend in May. That was
The
down.
weekend after.
The weekend after Memorial Day was down in spending data. So Memorial Day weekend, we were over in spending data.
Which would sort of normally be that kind of first weekend of June, but it was
Mhm.
like odd.
But again, when I ran the
5
placer
weeks.
numbers that Steve requested I run, we are significantly up in visits since Memorial Day. So since Memorial Day, we have in the past seen it drop the first 2 weeks in June, like we don't see a lot of visitors. But this year, we're seeing more visitors than we saw.
Well, and like rafting is probably gonna come to an end here soonish, right? And so maybe we're seeing people who are trying to get some of these things in before they can't.
The snowpack is officially
Yeah.
Last week, like Alan from Liquid Descent said by the end of the month, they were probably wrapping.
they said as long as they can go, but yeah,
He's like, if we get a lot of rain.
Yeah,
on the daily.
yeah,
Yeah,
which we haven't been seeing, so sad day for all of them. Okay, any other questions on the director's report before I move on? I'm gonna let Argo talk, because they were supposed to be here earlier, but we moved them later, so their presentation and their chitty chatty. Dan is gonna introduce himself, since some of the board members might not know who Dan is, and give you guys a little Argo update, and then Rose has some things to chat about. Dan, the floor is for you.
Floor is mine.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Dan Fox, Mighty Argo, filling in or taking over for Kyle as GM. So a little bit of change over there in the last few weeks. We are really close to wrapping up construction over there, which is nice. There's still ongoing projects that, we wish were done 6 weeks ago, but we're muddling through the last 10%. I think important for us, visitation, we were only open 17 to 31 days during May, so we didn't have the visitation that we would have liked to have driven to support those numbers during May. We had 14 days of closure for construction wrap up and kind of that early soft opening for us to get ready for our crowds and people. We extend hours this coming week, so we're currently open 10 to 6, 7 days a week. We'll be switching 10 to 7 midweek, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 9, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully driving more dinners, I see that. More later after hours drinking sunset, evening bike rides, third turn during the day for us is important. Yeah, that's definitely. Kind of focusing on that evening twilight biking and visitation. Which I think for us, we really had 2 turns during the day. Peak visitation number for us was Mother's Day weekend. It was our busiest single day. We got up to 1,300 people that day. 700 of those over that weekend with free moms. And so it wasn't the tax revenue weekend, but it was the come to town and take a look at it weekend. Memorial Day was softer for us than I'd say we would have expected, and we're seeing things trend up this week. This last weekend was actually pretty good for us. Really looking to start that next phase for us after soft opening systems process, which is really local kind of activation for the community, partnering with community in the way we can to continue to drive events and that cross promotion between what we're doing and what we know is important in town. With Minor Street, getting off Minor Street on Colorado, making sure we're kind of pushing traffic east to west and maximizing all of Idaho Springs, best of our ability. So parking continues to improve in terms of pushing less people back out to paid parking. And we just did start collecting parking revenue ourselves this last weekend at a higher rate than downtown. So we're the worst value for parking or higher rate. We're starting at $9.95 for parking for 4 hours. That same parking most days in the city's 5 and some change is what I understand.
Correct.
So you do have to want to park with us to come in and stay close. We also discount it with your ticket depending on what you pay for. So those are kind of the new and updated things that are going on. Food and beverage menu up top's coming around, seeing longer dwell times. Got event programming starting with single or multi-day concerts starting through Rose. Starting this weekend and rolling through the summer. And then again, just really looking to activate strong partnerships with the other businesses in town, looking for ways to support each other more than we are now. With that, I'll hand it off to Rose, unless there's any questions for me that I can answer. Good?
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Yes, well, I guess I just wanted to talk to everybody about potentially just
So they can see you on the computer. There you go. Perfect.
kind of just connecting with the businesses in town locally to try to do some partnerships, see kind of how we can support each other. I know like for Tommy Knockers with the Mill, they hand out kind of like coupons for a beer if you go to the Argo. So kind of just stuff like that for us to drive traffic into town and also drive traffic for us as well. So I kind of wanted to present that to everybody. If we want to have like meetings one-on-one with me or with Dan, I'd love to talk to everybody about that and just continue to build a good relationship with the Mighty Argo and all the local businesses.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what your summer programming is gonna look like and kind of your plan around that activation plan?
Yeah, so right now I'm really focusing on concerts on Fridays and Saturdays, kind of either doing an afternoon and an evening or kind of just an evening or just an afternoon, kind of working with that. And then Sundays are going to be more family focused. So this coming Sunday I have face painting and then a little fairy coming up, and I have like a magic show that I'm kind of planning, so kind of juggling those. Not really gonna do a ton during the week. Maybe I'll do karaoke or trivia up there during the week itself. So kind of still working on that. But those are kind of my summer activations that I'm working on right now.
I would love to know more. I get a lot of questions about rehearsal dinners. So like
Yeah.
catering, you know, like something that packaged for couples when they ask about being up there.
Yeah,
folks are connected.
so definitely that is something that we are working on of like booking out different places in the venue itself or booking out the entire venue. Since this is our first summer, I'm trying to be kind of cautious on how we do that because obviously adding in starting the lift cost of any event itself is going to be one of my main focuses. So just kind of trying to see what that is going to look like from a price standpoint. Obviously our F&B team wants to do more catering events and stuff, so just talking with them and seeing. But obviously for the first summer, I'm really trying to be careful about what I do until we get, our feet on the ground and figure out what we are gonna do. I will say our first wedding will be this year and it's kind of gonna be a dry run wedding to see what that is going to look like.
So any other questions on that?
So when you hold weddings, will it be like they become private events? And so like the public will not have access?
Exactly.
Right.
I think both. I think
could
you
be
could
both,
do
yeah.
at the end of the day where the public is still, available to kind of be leaving, but maybe one portion of the campus is blocked off.
Well, and Dan, you guys have done like big group, like birthday groups up there and like bachelorette
parties.
groups and stuff like that. So you can do like group now, you can do like group reservations.
10 to 30 pretty easily. We just had CDOT up there the other day. They should have been working on the Floyd Hill project, but they weren't. They were great. They had a good group of 21, 25 person bachelorette party, no problem. So I think anywhere from 10 to 30, 35, 40, we could accommodate those different spaces, depending on weather. We've got some non-weather protected areas there, depending.
And so mainly you're looking from a business perspective of like finding some brand partnerships. So stay at the club hotel and get an exclusive discount
Yep.
at the Argo, or, bring your Argo ticket into Yards and get this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that can kind of be different depending on who it is and how we kind of want to work together. I don't want to say like, oh, this is exactly what we're gonna do for everybody. I want it to kind of be like more of a personal thing for everybody, so. I just think like when I'm like just talking about it and seeing kind of what everyone else's ideas are and how we can work together to best support each other's businesses is my goal.
Awesome. Well, I'll put something into the newsletter that kind of summarizes that. And then Rose, do you want me to share you as the point of contact for those business collabs? Okay, well, I will share Rose's email for those of you that don't have it, and we will go from there. Awesome, thanks, Rose.
Yes, thank you guys.
Okay, any round table? Okay, so Margaret online just says with Rabbit Grass moving to Argo, I don't believe it should under the purview of the board. It's not, Margaret. So Rabbit Grass is now being completely run by Argo. I am just kind of helping from a logistical and promotional standpoint. It's still going to be a fun activation for the community and something that will drive visits and stays and a whole weekend of activation in town. So we'll be going at it from a collaborative marketing standpoint. That's it. No other support will be given from a fiscal standpoint. Any other roundtable updates from the businesses? Steve?
Well, just as far as business goes, we're 9% up over the same week last year. And guests are up 12%, but the spend is down 3%.
Leanna, how are things going over at Club?
Yeah, I mean, we keep growing, but again, it's our third summer, so we're finally starting to like really gain momentum, I feel like, so it's nice.
I think little improvement. Good, nice to see that, hear that. Tara?
Yeah, we're talking about 3% too in retail, but our season, I'm excited for our season. We definitely have more sales of weddings and more numbers of them. So we're more organized every year.
Every year. I love that. Katie?
The Tap House, again, this is our third summer too, and it's every year this gets better because we're still growing. So we've seen a lot of improvements. The biking track has helped. Barbecue, we've definitely seen an uptick in business. Summer. So
Awesome.
And finally, yeah, it's been weird, and I think, again, when we all feel down, it's across the board, you know, so we're just starting to the uptick in it.
The thing is, I just don't know how to make the Thursday night music thing successful. Cause, the band this week was amazing, really good, but no one shows up with 8 people.
I think it's about momentum and advertising again, just kind of keeping it going and scheduling it out and getting that momentum. And the vendors that were on Minor that Thursday had good feedback from all of them saying it was good. And again, as we increase that vendor count, it does seem like we're gonna have like a farmer style vendor that will start coming every Thursday, which might draw some of that again. I also think it might be helpful if we put the music on the other side of your tent, so that again, because the vendors are in the center. If the music is on the edge, then people that are gonna see the vendors will be able to kind of come in from both sides, because the westbound music tent on this end. So just kind of continuing to see that from a marketing standpoint and driving that up, but the vendors had really good feedback from being there on Thursday.
And I think you're right, it takes, like, it could be like this summer is not awesome, but next summer becomes more. Because I feel like some of these things do have a really long runway, longer than we would like them to be.
Post-summer COVID was amazing, everybody showed up.
Well, that's just because everybody
And
wanted
it's
to be
been going
outside,
downhill ever since.
but that's just because everybody wanted to be outside.
I'm just saying, it's like,
Well, and there's more competition.
Yeah, there's
Post
also,
COVID, there was less competition, now there's infinite amounts of competition.
yeah, there's
Everybody
lots
saw
of,
what everybody was doing, and now they're all doing it.
yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
places to go see live music and walk on an outdoor market street.
That's, like, I live in Arvada, I could just go down to Old Town Arvada. Like, I mean, I think that is true, that the competition is there. But I do think that it takes a while to start anything kind of new-ish. Yeah, and so.
Yeah, it is hard to drive it. I think it's, if we can get this farmer vendor, and I have been going back and forth, and it does sound like he's ready to go. And so having him every Thursday for us to have fresh produce on Minor would be like
Huge.
a huge draw. So if we can draw that and then continue to build that vendor market style thing, and the music is kind of just an added on bonus ambiance kind of part of the season.
Do the vendors have their own like social presence that they push it out on also?
Yes, they're supposed to, yeah. So they all have the assets to do that, so a lot of the vendors that are on there are small, local, handmade, single folks that don't necessarily have a ton of draw. But, you know, again, we're also from a music standpoint, not booking bands that bring a lot of tons of draw either, because we're going again on that lower end style.
So I think it just takes time. I've learned a lot of patience over the last 5 years, so.
Any other comments or
how
things?
did Furling's Fest?
Furling's Fest, yeah, Furling's was great. We had a great response at Furling's Fest. As Steve likes to say, we were parked out. And parking data supports that. We had nowhere to park, on Furling's Fest, so while people said it didn't look as busy, is because we had nowhere to park.
And some of the vendors were like, there'll be more people here, but it was a nice crowd all day long.
It was steady
But
all
when
day.
you went out back and looked, there was just no place to park. And the other interesting thing I'll note that when you have an event like that, and you have like 15 vendors, and then you have a band or two, the one band we had 5 cars. And the vendors got there at 10 o'clock in the morning to set up. Some of the vendors brought 3 cars with them.
Oh.
Especially the dog rescues, yeah.
So there's a little bit, I was like, I was watching where they're parking, because I was helping them unload and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna park here all day.
So a little bit more management around that would be helpful, and as we pursue like shuttles, being able to have our vendors park farther off-site and being able to get them in to town, these are all solves for, you know, our lack of parking. But we had a really great time. Steve and I are gonna start breaking down the finances, for how much money we raised for the, rescues that we were there. Tommy Knockers gave 1% of sales, Mountain Prime gave 1% of sales, Westbound gave 1% of sales, and Cidery donated a flat rate to the rescues. So that's pretty cool. I think also Mountain Maid and Spice and Tea a few others gave some small donations. Nick Kind Mountain gave a small donation, so I think overall we'll have raised more money than we did last year for our rescues that were present, and we had 4 rescues present. So an increase in our rescues as well, all pretty
It
local.
was a nice day.
Yeah, it was a nice day.
All the flowers got planted in record time, it seemed.
Yes, Tara did an amazing job on flowers.
Sunny planted all the flowers.
Yes, Jenny planted
Yeah.
most of the flowers, like 70%. Her and her husband, their flower planting machines. It was great. But yeah, flowers went off without a kick. All the businesses, I double checked our list. Everybody has paid. So we have queued up from that. So we
Did you
covered,
get the printed list or is it fantastic?
I didn't, but
I'll get this.
thank you.
The fundraising aspect of that was not as successful
No,
as last year, but we did cover our costs.
we did cover our costs. So we didn't, we didn't make as much money as we did last year, but we also had a little bit more to offer. And yeah. So I think it was, again, pretty successful, and we have a beautiful, lots of flowers and a wonderful person watering them. Thank you, Ed. Not you personally, but
You're welcome.
your team watered your flowers.
Staring off into space and
No,
I heard,
I-
thank you, Ed.
Yeah,
That's
so-
a big joke.
You're welcome.
Well, and I will say a shout out to Ed and his team on Flower Day. They were amazing hands on deck. Like, they really helped us
Well, we have
significantly
Steve, who kind of came out of retirement
just to water flowers.
just to water the flowers. That's
Yes.
all he wants to do and he loves them.
That's great. And just your help, your whole team's help that day was just spectacular. So thank you so much for that. It really made the day go smooth and we got a lot done, huh, Andy?
We did.
We quickly
Yeah.
made it
Seemed to
through.
really click along.
You are welcome.
Yes.
Everything seems to be working really good.
Bit by bit.
Will you be coming out with a flyer for 4th of July or is there a flyer already?
There is a
And I-
fl-
And I know we may have to add a band, but
There is a flyer for 4th of July. It's also on the main summer flyer. It's also been pushed out on social already, so there's already an event on social,
Got it.
all that jazz. There will be a flyer that, like, just a specific 4th of July flyer that will go out probably tomorrow. To be pushed out around to everybody.
Great.
Okay, so our action items is, I've got 3, and I think 2 of them we can vote on, and 1 of them I will table till I get a quote. So the first one is a motion to approve the digital multimedia history tour with Matt. Steve, second.
Second.
Katie, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion carries. The next one is the motion of the reallocation of fireworks funding. So what I have worded is motion to approve a part-time seasonal events and marketing support staff at 4,800 over 16 weeks. And to reallocate 14,200 into a reserve to be spent at a later date.
Is that enough?
4,800.
The 4,800?
What, $20 an hour, that's what you want, right?
I could write
10
it.
hours a week is 1 day of work.
'Cause it could be.
So
weeks where
motion
If you
it's
do an
much.
event, sorry, let me rephrase that. If you do an event, one of those weekends, that's 1 day, that's a whole week, 15 hours.
you might flex some of those hours, right?
So what if I do
Closer
motion
4th of
to
July would be more
approve
intense.
a part-time seasonal events and marketing support staff at 20 an hour,
Yeah, not to exceed.
not
Until further.
to exceed, how about if we do 25 hours a week, not to exceed 25 hours a week? I think the only time we would hit that would be 4th of July week.
There you go.
Or could
I was
you-
like, let's just be realistic here.
It could be not to exceed the $4,800 without, like, when we get there, they have to
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Would that be easier? So I could do a motion to approve a part-time seasonal at 20 hours, not to exceed a total spend of 4,800 without prior approval.
It's if you burn it up, you come back before the next one, so we'll
Explain to you why I need more.
Cause you never know, there might be a turn of events, but it's like, just in case, you wanna be able to have that flexibility there, cause that would suck.
Okay, so it would
I don't know if
be
you need the limit on the hours.
no limit on hours, so it says
Just a
motion
40
to
hour.
approve, so it'd be motion to approve a part-time seasonal and a marketing event support staff at 20 an hour, not to exceed a total spend of 4,800 without prior approval. And then we would probably do a second motion, Andy, to reallocate the 14 into a reserve. Okay, so then the second motion would be motion to reallocate fireworks funding of 14,200 to reserve. Sure,
Where does that really sit?
it sits in this contingency category.
You can't like put in an interest savings account.
That is not a me question.
I married you, but it's good investing.
Believe me, I will volunteer. Guy is really diligent about keeping like the absolute maximum amount of our funds in high yield. He's very skimpy on stuff, you know, like maybe we're gonna make payroll this week, for example, you know, I've been proud of the way he has stayed on that. And then Lorraine, our financial advisor, also, you know, particularly in more modern years where interest rates are meaningful. Between those two, we have seen significant, to the tens of thousands of extra dollars here for the city by managing that, well. So I think we all remember, it seems like just a few years ago, we used to be insulted, you know, at Chase, my preferred accounts, right? And it's like, they're doing you a favor by you keeping the money in the bank, give you 0.1%, something just insulting, right?
0.01.
Yeah, right? So, but no, we've been pulling in, lately like a 4.3, 4.4, you know, so when you have millions, it definitely adds up.
Sorry, Katie's gotta go, so I do wanna get these motions approved before Katie leaves, if that's okay. So the first motion on the table is motion to approve a part-time seasonal events, marketing and support staff at 20 an hour, not to exceed a total spend of 4,800 without prior approval.
Motion.
Katie, second,
Second.
Lana. All in favor? All right, motion carried. I know. Okay, the second motion is a motion to reallocate 14,200 of fireworks funding to the reserve contingency fund.
So moved, or.
Okay, so
Steve and Lana.
and Lana, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, all carried. Okay, thank you, friends. Next meeting is July 20th at 2 p.m. So after 4th of July. And I will see you all there, and we are closing at 3:39.